everybody. It's your friend Cindy with BNOW. Jeannie and I thought it would be fun to interview some of our BNOW women. So today we have Susanne Engelbert. She has a health food store. We are going to learn her story. She is part of the Power of 8. And these women get together every Thursday and create miracles. I know you did it for my dad. And I know that you have lots of stories to share. So Susanne, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your journey, how you got into the health food industry and the Power of 8.
Power of 8 is something that is so beautiful that organically happened. I knew Marty from church. I knew Stephanie because she walked in before I had even opened my store when I was setting it up. And I did the Dr. Joe Dispenza Advanced Week Long, and it really changed everything for me on an energetic level for creating, healing, manifesting. And one day I said, God, I would really like to have more women in my area who think and feel and practice what I feel. And that afternoon, Jessica walked into my door and she and I were talking, and she said, Rebecca is the Joe Dispenza person. So that afternoon, Rebecca from the Power of 8 walked in and we clicked, and we've been soulmate friends since then. I love her so, so much. And so she went to the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat like a month later, and we've just connected and created this because Dr. Joe teaches coherence, distant healing. And so she and I wanted to do that. And she and I created this group, and it organically came together with the Power of 8 plus 1 now. And it's just beautiful. A lot of times we don't get to hear testimonials because we do the work and we release it and let it go. But once in a while we do get some feedback, and it is beautiful feedback. I think my most favorite one was from Star, and she came to a BNOW retreat. And she and her husband were open to receiving our energy on a Thursday night. And they actually saw the healing light come down the hallway and enter inside of her. And she had a lot of healing going on. And a lot of times when you have healing, it's not like a light switch that you're miraculously healed. You're healing the emotional, energetic fields as well, which allows you to heal the physical part. So it's such a beautiful transition. I just love it. Love it. I love energy work.
Well, I've seen you girls working at 2 of our retreats. I saw you, it was almost like a Lazarus thing.
You got to work on you as well.
That's right. That's right. And it made a complete difference. It was kind of like, for me, it worked like, you know how conditioner works in your tangled hair? It was kind of.
I definitely do.
It was kind of like that. It just smoothed out everything. And
Yes.
all of the tangles and all of the stuff just went and smooth as silk. And even more than that, it was more of an awareness of my spiritual presence.
Yes.
In this human form.
Yeah.
And
the energetic fields just kind of untangled and cleared up. And you described that perfectly. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that's what it felt like for me. But I saw little Miss Anna, she couldn't walk, remember?
Yes,
and
I do remember
she couldn't
her.
get out of bed. She wanted to join us and she couldn't. And all of you went in there and there she was, hanging out all weekend.
Yes.
And then you did it
Beautiful.
for Lillian, the next retreat.
Yes.
So this is something that a lot of people, they go, oh yeah, right. Or, oh yeah, right. Or, you know, we did a show today. Jeannie and I did a show today on hopium, of people who think, oh, that's something that they hope will happen, but it really never does. Because the world is full of hopium. Try this, do this, do this. And so you do it, nothing happens, nothing really changes. But when something does happen and does make a change, we need to pay attention to what that is.
Yeah. It is being aware of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and shifting those thoughts and feelings throughout the day. Because whatever we think, whatever we feel is what we're creating. And if we don't like what we're creating, we need to be aware so that we can change it. And we need guidance. It sounds so simple when I say that, but we make it complicated because we're humans. And so the kind of energy work and healing that we do, it allows people to kind of settle into themselves like you experienced and allow the right kind of hope to come in. To me, there's two kinds of hope. There's the hope of, oh, I hope, I hope, I hope. And that kind of hope is a beggar. The kind of hope that I like is when you have that spark and you have that release and you go, oh, that's what everybody's talking about. And it can be small and you keep practicing it and it like gets traction and it grows and you understand that the heart is the center and the love and the joy and the peace is centered right there. And that when you're feeling the love and the joy and the peace, there's no room for the anger, the worry, the frustration. And you're allowing yourself to surrender and just release and feel that relief. And it's one day at a time and giving yourself grace when you had a bad day and a bad thought and a bad feeling yesterday or a moment ago and just getting yourself recentered. And that's what we try to help people do. That's what we do. You asked me about how did I get into the health food store business. And a long, long time ago, I had some severe head injuries and my children were little. And the solution was to put me on all kinds of medications that basically drugged me out. And you can't raise a family on those medications. So I went off of them and I found an alternative medicine clinic near where I lived. And I was doing things like vitamin C drips to help reduce the inflammation in the brain. And so I was at the clinic a lot and I started helping and then I started working there. And with anything that's physical as well as anything emotional or spiritual, those small changes that you do can create huge changes in healing. So things like juicing, something small, but it creates a wave of energy and opportunity for more healing. So I love that. I love that.
Yes. And yes. I believe, and I heard this just recently, that pharmaceuticals are really about treating symptoms, but not the problem itself, not the disease itself. It doesn't cure disease. It just helps with the symptoms.
It does. And, you know, I believe in complementary medicine as much as I love alternative and finding out what's going on at the core, whether it's emotional or what is it, and helping people find whatever it is on their journey. But complementary means that when we are in that emergency situation, that we do allow the antibiotic or something to get us to where we can start healing, to get that traction. I have other things that I have in my store that are alternatives to that, but sometimes you need it fast and you need it hard. So it's finding that medium ground for both Western medicine and alternative medicine.
Right, right. Well, there's all kinds of different things that people try. Like they've got these little laser things, I think, these little machines that they do, and there's all in acupuncture. I mean, there's all kinds of different things. But what you were talking about earlier about energy, it's all about energy.
All of it.
I had a gentleman. You prayed for my father, and he was in real bad shape. And you did it 2 or 3 times in a row. And I watched him gradually get better. So I know that what you were doing was very effective on his healing process.
Yeah.
But he was in the hospital and he has heart issues. And so he was gathering liquid in his pleural.
Right.
There. And they had to drain him and he ended up with a catheter and all of that. But I was in the elevator with a man who said he was from the Philippines. I mean, we were on the 3rd floor and we had this conversation down to the 1st floor. And I told him, I said, why are, you have somebody in the hospital? And he says, yes, my wife, she just had heart surgery. And I said, oh, my dad's in with his heart as well. And he looked at me and I said, well, I'll pray for her. What's her name? And I'll give her a prayer. Her name was Christine. And so I opened up that door, which is always a great door to open up when you're talking to a perfect stranger. I mean, this was an elevator conversation.
Right.
And so it opened up the spiritual door.
Absolutely.
And he said, we have the power. God made us perfect. We have the power to heal ourselves. And he said, she doesn't want the pacemaker or any of that stuff in her. And so I told God, who is the best doctor of all, to fix that where she wouldn't have to have it. And we learned this morning she doesn't have to have any of those extra things to help her heart.
That's beautiful.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
So I went up and I thought, best doctor, Dr. God. So I went up and I told you this story and before, but I went up and I said, Mom, put your hands on Daddy. And all the love you have for him, let it go on your hands, through your hands onto him. And I did the same. And I just started saying, thank you, Dr. God, for healing my daddy. Thank you, Dr. God, for healing my daddy. And I said it over and over. Of course, my parents looked at me like I had two heads, but I know their soul was listening.
Absolutely.
Their soul was listening. And that's one thing to remember is our soul, you can communicate with your soul, with your spiritual self, because that is in straight alliance with God.
Right.
And when you communicate that way and listen to that voice, and it takes practice because everything you're talking about with energy is invisible.
Right.
But it's powerful.
There.
It's very powerful. I mean, we've seen what the wind can do, what the waves can do. That's all energy. And we are energy. And so talk a little bit more about our aura and our energy field. I like it when you go a little bit more into that.
Well, everybody talks about the chakras, and those are actually energy centers. There's 7 energy centers throughout our body, and then one above. And every energy center has its own gland, its own organs, its own hormones, its own chemistry. And so what are you going to feed yourself today? And all the survival centers are the lower one. The heart is the center that connects the lower energy centers with the upper energy centers. And so trying to release the energy that we have stored in our lower ones helps us to open up to healing, helps us to be able to let go, helps us to be able to surrender. So whenever you are thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm judging myself, I'm judging someone else, I'm angry, I'm fearful, I'm resentful, your body will then create more hormones, more chemicals to surround that. And then you start creating more thoughts around that. When you become aware that that's what you're thinking and feeling, and you start changing it, no, I'm doing it different this time. I'm going to start loving myself from my heart out. I'm going to start thinking about what I have going for me. I want joy. I want bliss. I want happiness. I want peace. And when you surrender your judgment of yourself and others, and you start feeling that love and joy, you start creating more of that. Things start changing in your life because you're changing your energy fields all the way around. It goes out. And when you're changing your energy fields, how you react with the world and situations and people, even mechanical things like your car or your computer, they will change as well. Perfect example is sometimes when I get all stressed out, I'm working on something on my iPad, I need to get something done, and it's not working. Technology is not working at all. So when I realize that and I take a breath, start changing how I think, how I'm feeling, and I just start breathing and calming, and releasing and surrendering and doing all those wonderful things, the energy shifts and the technology starts working. And I know that sounds so nuts, but I have experienced it hundreds and hundreds of times. And when I let it go and quit being so stressed, things can change. Things can change. They really can. Energy is just so beautiful and so powerful.
I know what you're saying exactly, because it happens to me a lot. Sometimes it's an affirmation. If I'm working on a project, and for instance, my Pearl project, the book and the musical that I've got going, right? When something goes awry, and it's a crazy thing, like the computer starts acting up. One time recently, I was listening to the music, and then I went to listen to the music again, and there was no sound. And I couldn't understand it. And so I went to YouTube to say, well, maybe it's just this program, and there was no sound. Went to my speaker, and the cord had been pulled out. Now, I had just been listening to the music. And so something happened for that cord to pull out.
Absolutely.
So I said, okay, girls, thank you. I know you're here. Now, I know that sounds crazy.
But it does. Who cares?
I've in this whole experience, I've never felt alone. And we are never alone.
Never.
What happened to me with that is, and I know it sounds nuts, but it's almost as if they're the other side, which we know there's a very thin veil between this plane and another plane. We know that. There's several dimensions going on at the same time. And it was like thousands and thousands of women were saying, she can hear us, she can hear us. Tell our story, tell our story.
I love that.
I had that complete experience through that whole process. And most people will tell you, artists, I know you do jewelry, don't you?
I do.
Yes, exactly. So any artist many times will say, I can't take all the credit for this beautiful thing. It came from somewhere. Most
Absolutely.
artists will, I think true artists will say, it comes through a portal or something, and we just allow that creativity to come through us.
Same way that Reiki works. We're just the vessel, and the energy comes to us and through us. Exactly.
And that's how Reiki works. Are you a Reiki?
Yes. Reiki master. Yes, I love it.
Explain
energy
Reiki to people who have no idea what that is.
Reiki is a form of energy that we get from God. It comes through us, and it goes to the person that you're working on, whether they're right there in front of you or they're distance. And like anything, the more you're trained, the more you practice, the better you understand it and the better that you are. So much the same as acupuncture. Acupuncture, when you get it done, they put a needle where you have a blockage of energy, and it removes the block so that the energy flows throughout your body and your body can get into homeostasis and heal. Reiki is much the same way. Energy knows exactly where it needs to go on that human. It knows where it needs to go, where they need the healing. And so the energy comes through us and out onto the body. And it's just a beautiful healing energy, just so full of love that how can you not, heal? How can you not move forward? So it's learning how to remove the resistance and allow the healing, because we as humans have a lot of worthiness issues. So it helps with that as well. And removing those kind of blockages, whatever it is for each person is different.
I love that. I love that. Because love is the most powerful energy on the planet.
It is. The opposite of love is not actually hate, it's actually fear. And everything that is not love stems from fear. Anger, resentment, worry, judgment, impatience, everything stems from fear. And then on the other side of that coin is love, and everything stems from love. Harmony, joy, bliss, peace, happiness, success, everything comes from love. If you're loving what you're doing in your life, in your job, in your family, then it shows. it shows, because you have more energy that allows for more to show up, more potentials to show up, more possibilities to show up.
You know, I've noticed when you are focused on love and your love energy, I've had babies the other day in a parking lot that was laying on his daddy's shoulder get up and wave at me.
Yeah.
Because the babies can see the energy. The
and
babies
feel it and want to be a part of it. Yes.
Yes. And babies are the closest thing to God, to heaven, because they just showed up here and they're just acclimating to the human experience.
Absolutely.
Yes. And a little boy yesterday, my little grandchild, Allison, she graduated from preschool yesterday. And I had gone to the school with my Nana Banana outfit and my guitar and played music for them. And he walked up right after the graduation. He says, "Hi, Nana Banana," like that. And I didn't have on my costume. And I said, "Hi." And she said, "Yeah, his name is Maverick." Right.
Oh, how cute, Maverick.
But we all can do that. And it's important for us to understand the power of these little children. Right.
Absolutely.
Now. In today's world, we are hearing horrific stories about children and what's been going on for thousands of years.
Right.
This evil power. They're like, and they think they're so clever, and they think that they're better than God because they've learned how to control humans with fear.
Yes, fear.
And so we're always, what can we do? What can you do? What can you do? And I was doing a podcast with somebody the other day. What can you do? What can you do? You need to go down to the school board and fight. You need to go do this and fight. You need to go do this and fight. No, you don't. No, you don't. Enough people just need to see the world as God intended it to be, which is just this giant playground, this giant, beautiful place to play, nourish ourselves, shelter ourselves, and be in healthy communities, all
Right.
interacting with each other. I mean, look at the bees, look at any nature, look at the elephants, the way they take care of each other. Nature's got it right. We're just up here, and it keeps us in that fight
or flight, for sure, which are the survival emotions, which is why, meditation is so, so important. It's like a reset button every single day. And anybody who needs help with meditation, I like to help them because they get overwhelmed. They think they have to sit there for hours and have to sit a certain way. And the only thing that you have to do is just breathe. And I can help people with getting into that meditation, because every day you do, it's like a reset button. It's like you get to reset and let go yesterday and start fresh today. Because breathing is at the center of anything that you do, whether it's football, tennis, yoga, meditation. It's getting into the breath, because the breath slows down your brain waves, it slows down your heart, and it gets it to where they're communicating, they're connected. The heart-brain coherence, which is my most favorite thing. It's slowing down the heart and slowing down the brain to where they can communicate. And that's the spiritual part. On the physical part of breath, it is so profound. We have the central nervous system that starts in the brain, goes all the way down the spine, all the way down to the sacrum. And you've got that cerebral spinal fluid that runs within. And it nourishes the brain. It nourishes the central nervous system so that you can think and you can move and you can act and you can do. So how does it move? It moves because of your breath. Every time you slow down and you take a breath in, the sutures in your skull open up, and your sacrum at the base of your skull flexes back. And then when you exhale, the sutures close, the sacrum flexes forward, and this becomes a pump. And it takes 24 hours for that fluid, that spinal fluid, to go all the way through your system using this pump. So not only is it something spiritual that helps you connect within yourself and helps you connect to source, but the physical part is just as important, that God created this beautiful pump to help nourish our entire system this way. It's just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So the breath is just so important. It's so important.
You
And
explain it so well. You explain it so well.
I love it so much. I think that's why. It's because I love it so much. And I know how it's changed my life. I know how it's changed me. I know how it allowed me to get the heck out of my own way so that I could be the person that I really want to be. And it's not perfect every single day. Yeah. But I do have these tools to help me get recentered and go, okay, all right, those thoughts and those feelings, you're back into your old stuff. How do you get present? And that's slowing down and doing your breath.
You know, Abraham Hicks has a beautiful saying, and you know that right now I'm in the middle of rehearsals and this premiere of this musical that I'm doing, and we've had a few hiccups and a few fires we had to put out. And the saying is, everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. And so just recently what happened, the director called me and he said, the person who's going to play Redbird in this play, she can't do it. So it's not a big part. Maybe we should just take it out.
You're like, no,
it's a very potent part of the show. And the last scene is Redbird's birthday. Hold the door. Wait a minute. And I found somebody who happens to be, I've watched this little girl grow up since she was like 5 or 6 years old.
Wow.
Exactly. And she's playing the part of Redbird. I started, everything's and excited about it. Everything's always working out for me. Everything. So things unfold. And the first question when something comes my way is why? Why? Well, I don't know why right now this is happening, but I will know why after it's resolved or after it plays out. So when you have that attitude, everything is always working out for me, then those mountains look like little anthills. You just step right.
They do. And that's, you know, the power of positive thinking is so important. It is so important. But the thing that powers up those positive thoughts that life is always working out for me is the feeling that you create in your heart. Not only are you saying the words, but now you're feeling it. You're going, life always is working out for me. I'm always being guided. I'm always being helped. And how do you feel? You start powering it up with the love and the joy and really, truly believing it changes the energy, allows things to change around you. And Redbird, the new one, shows up.
Exactly. It's almost to a point now with that formula that I welcome the challenges, because the challenges every time they get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Where some people, how do you like it when people say, that's not reality? No, that's your reality. Problems are your reality. Right. Problems to me are a challenge or a reminder, or always hold a lesson that I need to be reminded of or learn brand new every time.
And it helps us to grow and heal old limitations that we've had in our life that we picked up from children all the way through our adulthood. And so those challenges, when we overcome them, like what you're talking about, allows us to heal and grow and let them go. And then you got more room to create what you do want in your life. What do you want? I like to ask people that all the time. What do you want? And of course, just like Jeannie says, when somebody says, well, I can never do that because of such and such. If you say so. Mm-hmm. I love that line.
If you say so.
That's a powerful line.
Yes, if you say so. Oh, that is a powerful line. Jeannie's
There's my red cardinal.
Oh, tell us about your red cardinal, because I love this story. You told me about your red cardinal.
This cardinal hangs around my house with his wife. Every single day, he flies up to the front window, taps the glass, sits on the windowsill, taps it again, flies off, and comes back. And has been doing this for more than a year and a half every single day. But here I am looking out on my deck, and he shows up, and he's hanging around right now and flying around like he's a hummingbird. I've never seen him on the back deck like I have this morning. It's usually only in front. So
oh wow.
I love it. Yeah, I love it when he hangs out with me. And he does a lot.
Isn't that something? I just love that. What does that mean to you?
I think it's my mother, because that's when it started after she passed.
Oh, no.
And she loved birds, loved birds. So
And it is.
I feel like he's trying to tell me something. I'm just not sure what it is yet. I may or may not know.
What comes to me with that is I'm always with you. This is a reminder that I'm always with you. I've never left you.
I love that so much.
Yeah. And that's what happens when we lose people in their physical form. They're not gone. We develop a new relationship with them. And so when the birds show up,
yes, she's
saying, I'm here. This is a physical thing that you can see. Right. Because the cardinal, in my understanding and what I've heard before, the cardinal represents those who have passed.
That's what I understand as well.
Yeah, and they say if you see a cardinal, that's somebody who's passed. And there it is, and there you are, and all this stuff. And so really being more spiritually minded, which you've brought to light today in this conversation, being more spiritually minded makes life so much better. So much better. I did an interview with these women not too long ago, and they were, you got to fight, you got to fight, you got to fight. And I said, the way I see it, what we can do, and it's more powerful if you do it with a group of like-minded people, is see the world the way God intended this world to be.
Which brings us right back to our Power of 8, our high vibe sisterhood is what we call ourselves.
I love that.
That we meet every Thursday, and that's what we're doing. We're like-minded, and we're sending out so much light and love to these people to help them get out of their own way, basically, and begin their healing, whatever that looks like. And it's so amazing, some of the stories that I hear from people about how, well, you know, I had things happen different for me, or a different nurse showed up, or a different person showed up, or I just feel different about life. I feel joy all of a sudden where I've never felt it before. And then that allows the healing to occur. So that's the beautiful work, the beautiful part about the energy work. Energy goes and it knows where it needs to go when you send it with love, and you're sending it with intention, good intentions.
Well, it worked with my father. I give you so much credit for that, because it looked really bad. He's got the catheter out now, by the way.
That's beautiful. And it was us with our love coming together, but it wasn't us that did it. It was him, and allowing himself to be able to receive it and to take those steps forward and to grow and heal and change in his own way. Even though he may never talk about it, it's in his head. He's talking to himself about it a little bit. So,
well, they think I'm some kind of magician. The family does. Yeah. My brother put out Cindy's magic worked.
I love it. It is magic. It's beautiful magic.
Well, whatever you want to call it, right? And actually, in the olden days, and we still have a lot of residue from that, they were called witches. People didn't like it when that energy healing or the herb healing or all these beautiful plants that God created on our earth to complement us when we're not feeling well.
When you look back in time and you look back in history, the basis for everything that is that kind of thinking is all based in fear. And those people are living their lives out of a base of fear. And those are the ones who are trying to conquer the world. And the ones who are living in the light and the love with the herbs and the spirituality, we're the weirdos. And I accept that. I don't care.
Put me in there.
because we're the ones that are seeing the change, the real changes. We're the ones that are the light workers. That is so important. And people keep saying that it's so important now these days. It's always been important through the history of the world, and the world hadn't changed that much. We just have technology now. I mean, the same thoughts and the same fears and the same wars have always gone on. And it's how do we respond to life instead of react? Because when we react, then we're reacting out of fear and unworthiness and not enoughness. When we react out of love, then we are able to change who we are and help those around us change as well, whatever that looks like. But it's all energy, which we keep coming back to.
It's all energy. Energia, energia, energia. So in closing, what message would you like our listeners to take away from our conversation? What are you the most passionate, if you say one thing, just one thing?
Or learning how to love themselves. And the way to do that is to start connecting with yourself, which is the meditation. Slowing yourself down to where you respond to life instead of reacting. Becoming aware of what you're thinking and what you're feeling, and then initiating the change. So the heart of it all is learning how to love yourself. And when you love yourself, you learn you love life. So what does that look like for you? And it will happen in layers. It's typically not a light switch effect. It happens in layers, and being patient with those layers. The first layer may be just finding your voice and being able to set boundaries with people, because as Rebecca says, no is a complete sentence, and being okay. Because every time you feel guilt, that's a survival emotion. That's not love. So it's just learning how to love yourself so you can love life. And it happens one layer at a time.
Love yourself, because that's what you are. You are love. That is the bit. And little children know that. Little children know that that's who they are. And then they are conditioned with being compared to other children. You're not good enough, or you're better than that other thing. Where in essence, all of us are completely equal in the eyes of our Creator. Completely equal. We are just defined differently, each one of us. So don't try to compete with other people. Compete with your ego. That's the only thing you need to compete with, is your ego. Tell to go away.
That's it. You've done your job. You've done it well. Go sit down. I've got this.
Yeah. Thanks for showing up again. We know that this is a human experience, but you are not serving me. I want to see this with my spiritual eyes. I want to see the situation as God sees it.
Beautiful. I love seeing your face and talking with you. You're a true inspiration to all of us. You really are.
Well, thank you.
You are.
Get me all. Nope. Anyway, we're going to do this again. You're one of my favorite people on this planet, Susanne. You really, really are.
Thank you. I feel the same about you. And here's a plug. If people have not gotten your books, they need to get them. They need to read them. They are so wonderful. And then your play this summer. I know it's going to be your music.
Are you talking about my novels?
Yes.
Oh, you've read them?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
I won't be able to come to your musical because my daughter's getting married right around that time. So it'll be chaotic, but I wish I was there. I'll be there in spirit. I know it's going to be fantastic.
I'm interested to see where it goes, because I wrote the song Jose Cuervo, and that was Song of the Year, and I knew nothing about music business or anything. Well, I knew nothing about theater when I walked into this, but I know the process. I know the way that God does this, and I also know that this is a divine assignment to make us more aware of our human nature.
Yes, I can't wait to see where it goes. Yes.
Thank you. Well, you will come to New York when it's on Broadway, right?
Oh, yes. Absolutely. I've never been to New York. That'd be the perfect excuse to come that direction.
There you go. Love you, Big. Thank you for being on our BNOW show.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.